He also ran 4 times for 20 yards. This was John Sumrall, Tulane head football coach, after the game.
We're a really sloppy football team that finds ways to win games, and I'm going to lose my mind because we're so immature. We've got to grow up fast. I'm glad we won. I'm not happy with how we played.
So there's John Sumrall after the game. Not happy, G-Mac, but 26-19. Hey, you get a win. You take it, you move on, and continue to try and compile a good football season. But that's why we love Coach Sumrall right there.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a team, just in watching it last night, that struggled as much as they did in the red zone. Like, it was unbelievable. It's like every time I looked up, they're in the red zone. And then I'd walk away for a second, do bedtime, put May down, what have you. As soon as I walk away, I'd come back, there's 3 points again. It's like, why did they just – what the heck? Like, they can't score a touchdown. Tulane's been an interesting team to watch this year because I feel like they're better than they are. And I don't know why it is. I just kind of struggle with the way they've kind of tied performances together or, like, tie one quarter to the next. Like, Retzlaff, their quarterback, for example, he's just remarkably inconsistent. Very good day yesterday, but a couple weeks ago it was brutal. And I feel like the whole team kind of plays that way right now. It's a very inconsistent football team.
To an extent, this is kind of what they are. Speaking of undefeated in conference play, Southern Miss now 2-0 in Sun Belt play. 4-2 overall. They take down Georgia Southern last night, 38-35. Braylon Braxton, 237 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Jeffrey Pittman ran 31 times for 140 yards. J.C. Frentz threw for 313 for Georgia Southern. Not quite enough for them to be able to get that win. So that was last night. Coming up tonight, get a good one. I believe it's the first time DATCU Stadium in Denton, Texas has ever been sold out. Number 24, South Florida coming to town. North Texas is 5-0, 1-0 in the American. Both these teams 1-0 in the American. 6:30 on ESPN2 tonight. So if you're looking for a good college football game, it'll be fun to watch. Both those offenses going to throw the ball around. I mean, it's 66.5 is your total there. So, yes, expect points. But that's going to be a good football game. Also, at 8 o'clock tonight on FS1, Rutgers is at Washington in the Battle of the Coasts there in the Big Ten. Washington at 4-1, Rutgers at 4-2 or 3-2, and then Fresno State's at Colorado State tonight, also at 8 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. Fresno State 5-1, 2-0 in the Mountain West. So you got good football on tonight, and obviously we know what's coming up this weekend. A couple of massive matchups around college football. The Big Ten has a couple of huge games. SEC, a couple of big games. We're going to break them down for you the entire day today. It is a Max Ball Friday right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. You can tweet in at Mac and Cube. Always be a part of the show there. 800-239-9569 a game. A facet of the game that you want us to get to, just let us know. Let's go to Columbia, Missouri, G-Mac. 11 a.m. should sort of neutralize the crowd just a little bit. Not that I feel like the crowd noise is ever really an issue in Como, but it's just a weird place to play. It's a weird place to go. It's a weird trip to make. So that part of it, I do think, I mean, you're going to play in a construction zone. It's going to be a little bit different. It's just not going to be as comfortable as it is being at home, and maybe not as recognizable as some of the other spots in the SEC that guys have already played at, been to, and been able to handle, manage. Is there any part of the road game, road atmosphere that has you a little extra concerned for this Alabama football team at 11 a.m. on ABC tomorrow?
My concerns extend. No, the morning kicks don't bother me anymore because all these teams practice at morning. I mean, it's not like, to me, I honestly am more concerned about like a super late night kick than I am a morning kick. Like, God's honest truth. All these guys are on the practice field right now. Bama's on the practice field, from 8:30 to 10:30 every day, thereabouts? 8 to 10:30, 8 to 10 in that vicinity.
Yep.
I don't get to go to a lot of practices. Why? Because we're on the radio. But these morning games, to me, don't bother me. The toughest thing about this game, for sure, will be playing fast on defense. And I think they'll do that, and tackling. And to me, play it on the road, play it at home, doesn't matter. I really don't care. I really think that the home environment is more, like you said, challenged than the road environment when you play an early kick. So I'd always prefer to play on the road at 11 as opposed to on the road at, say, 6:30 when everyone's had 7 hours to get in the sauce and they're welcoming us in with open arms, to say the least.
Yeah, if you had different ways to do it you could select, I think that would definitely be it. So when you look at how Alabama wins this game defensively, who are individuals that first come to mind that really have to step up, really have to play well if Alabama's going to find a way to neutralize this Missouri offense?
Damani Jackson, one. I think he needs to play, and we saw progress. I saw a lot of progress, I feel like, last week from the first half to the second half. I mean, somebody got to him. I don't know who, but somebody got to him. He had a couple run fits there in the first half that worked great. One in particular that was really bad. And that was a huge problem against Georgia in probably 4 or 5 different instances. I feel like he was the last line of support in the run game, and he didn't make the play. And Damani Jackson, by the way, not like a, quote, soft corner. That's not really him. Like, he's a guy that's willing to throw his head in there. He just, for whatever reason, hasn't this year, or at least hasn't done so consistently. So here's hoping that the second half performance that he had last week, that can carry over. Because if I'm Missouri, I see him on tape, I want to run right at him. The other guy I think is probably Bray Hubbard. If I were to say one more defensively, I think the defensive line is obvious. I think you got to set the edge. I think you got to be able to hold the point on the edge. All that stuff's important, but I still think they're going to get to the second level. You just can't allow the home runs. And Bray Hubbard and Damani Jackson can help a lot when it comes to avoiding the home runs.
You go to Damani Jackson, and you mentioned that Georgia game. And there was a playoff right tackle that 33 kind of does a good job being patient. Maybe it was to the tight end side as well. It's to the right hash, so you're going towards the sideline. And Jackson's kind of floating, maybe takes a false step back into the field, and it allows 33 to bounce that thing outside. It could have been a third down stop, and all of a sudden it goes for like 12 yards. You come back to that Vanderbilt game, that fourth down play where Pavia decides to keep it, and they got big 45 coming as like a splitter there, who's about 260 pounds, H-back, fullback. You're just like jumbo big right there. And Jackson comes in, same shoulders that thing, and kind of plays it flat down the line of scrimmage a little bit and helps make the tackle on Diego Pavia. Like, that's the difference that I think you're referencing, and that has to happen. I'm with you. Specifically on the perimeter, because we know, Missouri's going to have runs that get outside.
Yep.
The stretch play, outside zone is going to be what they try to build this thing on, and you're gonna have Jefferson and company get to the outside and make plays. Like you said, Bray Hubbard's going to have to get out to the perimeter and make some plays.
Yep.
I don't push back on that at all. But I think one thing that Alabama had against Vanderbilt, they're going to have again this week, and it's in line with what you said, but it's in a little bit of a different facet. I think they're going to have a couple defensive guys. And when I say big plays, I don't mean a pick six for 90 yards on the last play of the game, but individuals are going to have to make some big plays. You think about Jefferson punching that ball out against Pavia. You think that tackle that you just mentioned that Damani Jackson came up and made. You can't allow Mizzou to continue drives. So third down stops, whether it's red zone stops, a couple individuals on defense, I think, have to make timely big plays because the opportunities are going to be there for Mizzou. I think they'll find ways at times to move the ball. It's going to happen. There's too much window dressing. There's too many opportunities for eye violations. This is a team that has had a couple issues with that. But when it gets time and they get down inside the red zone, force a field goal, block a field goal, even just bat a ball down, bat a slant down on an RPO on 3rd and 5, where it looks like Missouri's moving, and it was probably a drive that most people anticipated was going to be a touchdown. Those are the kind of plays, GMAC, that I think Alabama has to find a way to make in a timely fashion in this game.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fair. They're going to move the football. They're a good team. They're absolutely going to move the football. Red zone's important in this game as well. So you're going to give up plays between the 20s. The one thing you cannot do is you cannot allow big runs. If they're ripping off 40, 50, 60-yard runs, you're toast. And you have to make them snap the football and play offense. Like, you cannot give up gash chunk yardage, and you got to be great in the red zone. If you do those two things, I think Bama's got a really good chance of handling their business comfortably. But if you're getting gashed in big runs if you're giving up big plays over the top because you're falling victim to a heavy play action, they're hitting those one-on-ones on the outside. If you're not good, if you're not good in the red zone, every time they get down there, they're scoring 7, not settling for 3. That's a huge problem. You're gonna have it. Then you're in for a dogfight. So I think Bama can match up well. I think they can handle them. I really believe that. But I do think it's going to be of the utmost importance to not allow big plays, to not allow them to score touchdowns in the red zone, force them to kick a couple field goals, and if they're going to get them between the 20s, it's no problem. But in the red zone, you got to tighten down the hatches.
How do you feel about the edges of Alabama's defense in this game? Just the importance of it. Who's going to be there? Who's not going to be there? We know that it's an area that Alabama's a little bit dinged up right now. What has to happen there for this defense to be successful?
Well, Eldrick Hill's giving you some good reps there as kind of a wide end 3 technique. So I like what we got there in the performance we've gotten from him. I do like James Smith naturally there at the 3 technique spot. I think Tim Keene on the edge, but I don't think the interior is the issue. I think, like you said, the edges are the problem. Yes. I think you can talk them out of the edges by tilting some safeties. With stretch zone, and we ran a lot of stretch zone at Alabama. There are certain fronts that can stop the stretch zone. Like I get 3-5-9, I can't run stretch zone. So you tilt the safety, you walk a linebacker up, all of a sudden you can talk me out of it. For sure, even against a YY alignment, you got problems. And I know when we called it Stormy. That was stretch zone to the Y, Stormy. When we had Stormy, I knew that if I had a certain look, I had to check it, and I would imagine you're going to get a heavy dose of 3-5-9. Stretch zone works better against the bubble. The bubble meaning a shade, a guy that's right on the center. So a guy is right on the center, and you have basically an under front, which Cole, you can obviously adhere to that. So you have 2 guys on each side. One's in a 3 technique to the left. That's over the left guard. Let's say we're running Stormy to the right. I have a defensive tackle that's touching the center on the right side. So he's basically in the A gap between the center and the guard to the right-hand side. And basically a 5 to the outside or a 9 to the outside. So like if you want to run it into that look, you want to run it to the shade. So whatever the tightest defensive tackle is. Well, if you're running an even front, you're playing 2 3s and you're walking a linebacker up, you can talk them out of running storm. You can talk them out of running stretch zone. So I think there's ways that they'll tilt the front so that it doesn't put so much pressure on the edges, and they'll widen those defensive tackles out just a hair, and those fronts can cause some problems. You see it that way?
A lot of it, yeah. And I think tight end alignment will be big too. You go back to that early big Cedric Alexander run against Alabama. That may have been a 3 tight end formation. I know there was a tight end on each side. One was in line, one was off the line of scrimmage a little bit, and it was compressed to the field, and Irvin kind of cut that thing back. So as you're stating, I think that was like duo. Not that it was a stretch play; it was an interior run, but kind of sort of how this thing's going to be fit at certain points in time, and how the linebackers and defensive line have to play it. And if you can force them to sort of lean it the front one direction, and you have a play like duo that can cut back, that could be an area that Missouri could find a little bit of success as well. But yeah, when he says 3-5-9, he's referencing where guys are going to be lined up on the guard, tackle, and tight end. So we used to just come up if it was inside, outside zone sometimes, because we would have like green and gold calls, and it would just be run it to the shade or run it to the 3.
That's it. Yeah, if you have a balance, you check storm check. All right. Easy. 88. It means we're to the right. 99, we're to the left, based on where the shade is. But the other thing with storm that can talk you out of it, yes, you would run to the shade if you have a balanced formation where it's tight end to the left, tight end to the right. The other thing we did with storm was away from rotation. So if you have storm and you have a safety that's tilted to the right with an overhang, so that safety is tilted to the right and lined up outside the tackle, I can't run it that way. So whichever way the safeties are rotating, I have to run it the other direction. So, hey, the safety's rotating right. Hey, check, easy, flip it. now we're running it back to the left. So there are ways to protect your edges. I agree with Cole 100%. The edges concern me in this game, but I can protect them by defensive alignment. So if I know if they're probably dialing up a storm call or they're dialing up a stretch zone call, it's no problem. I can tilt safeties over there. I can widen out defensive tackles. I can do a lot of things to protect those edges because I do think those edges are a huge issue in this game. I love Yontae Pierre. I think he's a pass rusher. I don't think he's a guy that I really want anchoring down and setting the edge 40 times. And I don't think that's in his best interest. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. All right, before we go to break, we'll come back, hit more on this game. Jordan Rogers coming up at 8 a.m. Stanford Steve will be at 9:20 today because he's out in Eugene, Oregon, so he's a little bit later on the show. Max Ball all day. Tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Wes and the guys have been in the house a million times. I'm always grateful to the experience I have when I've worked with Polar Bear Services. They're just terrific, and I think you guys will understand what I mean when you have them out to the house. They've had me set up on electrical. They have me set up on plumbing. They've done so many things for me around the house, and I know they will for you as well. Go and check them out today. The HVAC system, by the way, is about to be put to the test. We're about to get to the point where we're running the AC during the day, the heat at night. It's getting a little chillier here as we near closer to the winter months ahead. Make sure your system's running smoothly by getting a checkup from Polar Bear Services. So remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heater, air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. It's 497-BEAR.
All right, when we come back, more of a Max Ball Friday next on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. 7:23 Friday, October 10th, right here on Jocks. Giants take down the Eagles last night, 34-17. Eagles 4-2, Giants 2-4. Jackson Dart 17-25, 195, a touchdown, no picks. Cam Scatterbo 19 for 98, 3 rushing touchdowns last night, and the Giants outrushed the Eagles 172-73. GMAC. Not one that I anticipated was going to happen, and I don't think a lot of people saw that one going that way.
Not at all. I think the Giants, as much as I've kind of struggled with the. Now, do I think they'll figure them out? Yes. I think they'll figure them out at some point. But they do have a really nice little deal with Cam Scatterbo. Like, he's a ball player. I didn't think he'd be a great pro. I just didn't think he had the juice. But he runs so hard, man. Like, you got to give him a lot of credit. It's translating in a beautiful way.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. He's an entertaining back, entertaining player, and you watch him last night. He gets the ball in the end zone, and it's pretty cool to see because you love guys like that bring the energy and just that a lot of people just don't think that game's going to translate to the NFL and find a way to make it work, find a way to get it going. Sticking with Alabama, Missouri for a few more minutes, and we'll go Auburn, Georgia here a little bit later this hour. Plenty of time to spend on both games today. Alabama offensively, is there a part of the Missouri defense that you feel like they need to avoid, need to be careful of, need to be wary of, that they just need to neutralize that specific portion of it to continue the success that they've had the last couple weeks?
Probably intermediate passing attack, deep ball passing attack. Middle of the field's been a huge point of emphasis. You can tell that. I could see things adjusting as they move forward a little bit. I could see things becoming a little bit more perimeter based, but the middle of the field's been phenomenal, and that's hard to defend. So I think intermediate middle of the field, but as they continue to transition a little further, create some explosives on the perimeter. How do you see it?
I just think they need to be careful with the D line and linebacker run through because they're aggressive.
Yeah,
they are. They're a group that they'll slant, they'll stunt, they'll move, they'll come at you in different ways. And we've seen a couple of times this year, Alabama's had some problems with that. Not consistent issues with that. But, I mean, you got a Damon Wilson out on the edge that is sleek and fast and bendy. And if you allow him to, he'll get down inside and he can be a little bit problematic.
Yeah.
And I think Alabama just needs to be careful with that. They need to not dominate the front, not push them around, not knock them 4 yards off the ball. Just do not allow clean penetration. Do not allow clean run through. Like you watch Josiah Trotter, I mean, he's going to fly through the line of scrimmage at times. Yeah. Either one, he thinks he's got a beat on the play, or two, it's a called run through, and he can get into the backfield. You know, Sterling Webb can give you really good reps inside. Zion Young off the edge. Chris McClellan can be a D tackle that can be a problem when he's sort of moving. I really like Marquise Graciel, 33. I think he's a solid player inside,
sure.
And he can be quick laterally. I know he's not short, but he appears to have sort of that bowling ball frame where he can kind of shoot an A gap every now and then and be disruptive and cause problems. He keeps his pad level pretty low. They just have individuals that, and it doesn't show up as consistent as some other guys on other teams.
Right.
But every now and then it's like, man, this guy sneaks under a block, or this guy runs through, or this guy becomes a problem. And then you know they're going to hit. At the end of the day, they're going to show up and hit. But what you just said about the middle of the field, it's an area that I talk about almost every college football season. Ty Simpson's not afraid of it.
No.
And there are not many quarterbacks in college football that like to attempt to attack the middle of the field. He is one that has done it well this year, and that may be a big spot for Alabama to take advantage of this defense.
Huge spot. I think that's the key. I think most of the time you work against quarterbacks, and you think about having to defend them outside in. Well, with Ty Simpson, you got to work on defending him inside out, and that to me is a hard thing to live on, because you know they can win one-on-ones on the outside. Like, they've proven the ability to do that. But if he can beat you with efficiency, timing, decisiveness, and accuracy, and is willing to throw it into traffic, then that's really you just have to cover the whole field. Like with McElroy last year, it was like unless he ran around and it was just the easiest guy on planet Earth to handle from a passing standpoint. He's throwing it outside the numbers almost all the time. Like literally, it's down the field, outside the numbers, pretty standard. Like just defend those, and we're good. Like with Ty, name one time at any point last year in which you feel like McElroy worked the middle of the field or was like attacking guys or attacking teams 15 yards right between the hashes. Name one time like that you can think of.
I mean, it wasn't his strength.
No, and the offense was stagnant as a result. Now you have a guy that can actually attack some of the areas that are hard to defend. I mean, if you can beat things on time, like it's incredible. So it's been look. It's also dangerous to work the middle of the field. Like, there's no denying it's dangerous. All it takes is one tipped pass, one slightly errant throw, and it's picked. So it requires a level of precision that most guys don't have. So it's pretty impressive right now to watch what he's doing and how he's playing.
I don't think there's any doubt. So, but you got Marvin Burks, Jalen Catalon, guys that want to come down, play in the box. They want to hit. They want to thump. And coverage is not their strength. So I think the Missouri secondary, if there's a part of it to be had, that would be it.
Yes.
And specifically off play action, and we've seen Grubb be awesome with it. I mean, Ty Simpson's going to get under center at times. He's going to turn his back to the defense. He's going to give you traditional evened-up formations, which they can give you a run to the left, run to the right. They can give you multiple different runs either direction, and then he's going to come up, know where that ball needs to get. And the key there, Greg, might be he is going to utilize those eyes to get you away from where he wants you. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've studied every quarterback in college football, but I don't know many that utilize their eyes to affect defenders better than Ty Simpson has this year. I mean, all you got to do is sit there and watch his helmet, and you'll see one defender take one false step, and bam, ball's out, and he knows where it's going. That play-action game, I think, is only going to continue to get better for Alabama, specifically with Jam Miller in the lineup, because he brings a little something different, man. He's not the fastest. He's not the sturdiest. But he's just – I tried to show it on our show Monday night this past week of how he uses blocks and presses the line of scrimmage. I think Jam Miller does this. And I don't know if we could ever – I'm sure PFF has a stat that's, like second-level vision rate or whatever the hell they want to call it. But
that feels right. You probably nailed that one.
When I watch him run the ball, and I mean this, I feel like he sees – 2 or 3 levels past where he is, and not many running backs can do that. Like, I think he begins to ride a block or push a seam, or he waits on things because of what he sees past what is directly in front of him. Like, he knows he can get through the D-line, and he's already working a linebacker or a safety before he even gets through the original line of scrimmage. Like, that's where Jam Miller is different, and I can't tell people how to watch that. I can't give you a number for that.
Yes.
But when I watch him, that's what I see from Jam Miller.
It's a little like Mark Ingram. And I'm not saying he's the same back. Like, he's taller than Mark. Comparable in weight. But Mark, when you watched Mark, the way he set blocks up and how smooth he was with his moves and his one-cut decisiveness and just kind of the angles that he just could see everything. There was a certain feel. And I remember all the time, like, people would ask me, like, who you think is better, Mark or Trent? And this was when Trent was, like, a freshman or a sophomore. I'm like, Mark is. Like, it's like at this point, like, Trent in time, like, maybe Trent will get there. But at this point, I remember in college, like, Mark is. There's something very nuanced. Now, you want to talk about the bigger freak show, the guy with more, like, top-end elite talent? Like Trent is the more talented guy. But Mark is a guy that just has great feel and vision and just always seemingly finds the hole. For example, if you look at the game against Vandy, there's probably 2 or 3 plays. One with Jeremy Bernard actually running the football, another with Kevin Riley and running the football. And there's tons of room if they just stick their nose in, go back, and cut it backside. Like, no doubt about it, Jam Miller's hitting that hole. Like, he's not trying to press it to the edge. He's going to hit the hole, cut it backside, and go pick up 8 tough yards. Whereas Kevin Riley kind of presses the hole, stays wide, and gets tackled for a loss of 1. Jeremy Bernard, similar deal. There's just with Jam, he's got a certain feel, he's got a certain vision, and he's got a way of just kind of um, got a way of just kind of finding that hole and doing something special. You know what I mean? Like it's got some Ingram vibes to me,
Oh, that's fair, and I can see it.
which
It's
is
fun to
like the
watch.
highest compliment to me because I think Mark was just such a phenomenal back and like. Yes, I mean Trent and Derrick Henry and those guys like freak shows, right? Like unbelievably talented and gifted guys. Mark had a certain magic about finding the hole, finding space that was unique, and I don't think it's something you can coach. I don't know how you coach it. Jan
No,
has some
it's
of that.
and the cool thing I think what you're saying too is like Mark wasn't gonna crush the 40. You
No,
know, Mark didn't have a 42-inch vertical. Like he wasn't the quickest as far as laterally. Like he was a little bit limited compared to your elite running backs from a physical standpoint, but he just made it go. Like he had a knack for finding space and wasn't afraid to try to run you over. And
yep,
I would agree. They have similar traits. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
for
All
sure.
right, a lot more to get to today. We'll talk a little Auburn, Georgia on the other side. Obviously, we'll have our picks for Bama, Mizzou later in the show, as it is a Max Ball Friday. Before we get to that, tell about your CBD store. If you are looking for products to help you sleep better at night, your CBD store has answers. Maybe the appetite getting a little bit too much. You need to curb that. The Trim by SunMed is on the shelves now at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. Your CBD store has been focusing their attention on being the best plant sciences company out there. Hundreds of different extracts and plants. They're working hard to find the ones that work best, to study the different effects that they have. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They're open and they have a stamp seal on their products at all 3 locations. Visit one of those today. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459, your CBD store where good health hits home. Back with more on a Max Ball Friday. Begin our Auburn, Georgia preview next on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:39 Friday, October 10th, right here on Jocks. Listen online, jocksfm.com. App is in your app store, iPhone, Android. Go download that for free. Not only can you listen on the go, you can also find the podcast there. You can also find the link to the YouTube where you can watch the show live every day there. And if you're at the house, don't want to find the app, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is tell your home smart speaker to just enable the Jock skill.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. Just take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll see what I'm talking about. The deals are off the charts good. There's a reason why they've been named GMC Dealer of the Year 5 years in a row and 8 times overall. It's because nobody can beat them from a price standpoint or from an inventory standpoint. You'll know exactly what I mean the second you walk on the lot. And you see deals like a GMC Sierra 2500. That's right, 2500. Pretty nice vehicle there, about the nicest vehicle you can buy on the lot. You can get that for $12,000 off the sticker price. Just under $90,000 is what you pay in other places. Well, at Bill Smith Buick GMC, $77,715. Deals like that keep you coming back. There's a reason why 75% of their business is repeat customers, because you have a better experience. You shop at Bill Smith. Take George up to Coleman. I'm glad you did. You can also shop online. Have the right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, let's roll into Auburn, Georgia a little bit. Begin to break that one down and kind of some things that we see there that could be instrumental in how this game goes. When Auburn's on offense, is there a clear path? I'm not even going to say to victory, Greg, just to success. Sustained success for the Auburn offense in this game.
Yes. I think they can establish the run on the perimeter. It's not really who they are because they're such a heavy RPO team. A lot of what they do is up inside zone. I don't think that's the path to success in this one. To me, I think the path is slightly on the edges, and I think they're going to have to be willing to take advantage of that. I also expect some call it and run it's. I also think you're going to see a little bit more of a commitment to the run because it's been such a huge talking point, has it not? It's been a huge talking point the last couple days. Hey, stay committed to the run. Stay committed to the run. Well, will they be? I think they will be because you know they hear the noise. Like, they're going to stay committed to the run. I'd be shocked if they didn't.
I would be. We've heard Hugh Freeze say it all week. You're going to see a different offense. You've heard him reference that we need to probably give it to the backs a little bit more. There's been ways that he's talked around this that essentially say we have to run the football. Where are you on what I pointed out from watching the Georgia film last week that I feel is going to be problematic for this team in this game? And that is Georgia closes space extremely well. And they are going to give you a good box count on most downs. Because it's one of the things when I watched the Kentucky game, I kept sitting there watching, all right, we got 4 in the box. All right, we got 5 in the box. And all of a sudden you'd see Kentucky sort of fit that thing up, get a little good movement on the nose guard. You're like, oh, man, they got a chance here. And then the running back gets to the line of scrimmage, and you're -2 in the run count in the box or -3 in the run count. You're thinking, okay, that's not what we need there.
Right.
I thought that play was going to go. Or, 52 pulls around, gets a nice little kick out. You're thinking, here, we got business.
Yeah.
And corner's coming up making the tackle because you ran it in, to the boundary. And you're just, all right, that wasn't supposed to go that way. Like you mentioned, against an RPO-based offense, that is a massive issue because you're getting the looks that say hand it off, yet once that ball is handed off and 2 yards upfield, and I don't even mean past the line of scrimmage. I just mean 2 yards past when he receives ball. That box count's totally different. And can Auburn get Georgia away from being that? Because that's what I think has to happen if they're going to find that success. And the only way I think that happens, Greg, is if you make them legitimately scared of the pass and if you can threaten them through the air. And that's where I'm just not sure Auburn can have real success in this game.
Well, I think Auburn's biggest challenge is – one, I don't trust their quarterback. They don't trust their quarterback. That's blatantly obvious. But I also don't really blame them for looking at it that way. I think they need to just say, forget about it, quarterback run. It's got to be quarterback run in this game. I think there's ways of manufacturing yardage with QB sweep. I think there's ways of manufacturing yardage with jet sweep QB power, where you're running Malcolm Simmons or Singleton across and you get a read and he can hit it up inside, or those guys could take it to the field. Like I think that's your play. I'd run it 10 times. I really would. I think there's a way of creating problems there. And if they don't, for whatever reason, get to it, I think it's perimeter run game. Their RPO stuff's great. They got to have a little bit more in the passing game. They have to. I think Singleton's probably the guy in this matchup because I think Singleton against Aguero is an interesting matchup. Their nickel, I think that's one that Auburn can win. I think they can get into a bunch of stacks and bunches, and that you can find some success there. Because if you go back and watch last year's game, there's some things to like about their offensive plan. They just didn't execute on the most opportune times. They had to have it moments. They didn't win those. So I think there's a way of them being able to run the ball, but I think it's quarterback run in this game. That's kind of the way I'd approach it if I were Auburn.
The ball got out though last year. And
Correct.
whether or not people want to complain about who the ball went to, the ball got out on time, and that was what gave Auburn opportunities. How much more quarterback run do you build in? Direct quarterback run,
Right.
or quarterback option run. I don't mean run the triple option, but I think you know where I'm going. Where he
Sure.
has the ability to keep the ball, give the ball, but it's not necessarily RPO based like it has been, because as we all know, most of the times that's going to end up being a throw. Does Hugh Freeze and his offensive staff need to go a lot further in building in extra Q runs, not just in this game, but moving ahead?
I think moving ahead for sure. And if you look to last year, like a lot of their plan, they had. And granted, don't even go back and watch it. The first play will make you puke. But it's just it is what it is. Like they have ways of moving the quarterback without Georgia's edge rush, which Georgia's edge rush is just not what it's been.
No.
Everybody knows that. Anyone that's listened to this show by now knows that Georgia's edge rush is not a threat like it's been in the past. So guess what you can do? You can capture the edge. You can roll the quarterback. Like they did a bunch of rollouts last year. They did a few things like that. Now that the left tackle knows how to get in a stance. Look how big. This was his swan song as a starter. And going back and watching that game, I think you do a lot of that because you're not worried about a vertical upfield rush. Like that's what I'd do. I'd roll the quarterback time and time again. Hey, Jackson, guess what? 1 to 2 to run. Go. I'd do it time and time again. Oh, to the left, to the right, you name it. That way, hey, if you don't like it, no problem. Like we're good. Like, we can live with you running QB sweep. So in the future, I think that's where your game's going. Unless you got a team with an elite upfield edge rush, which there are a couple teams that they're going to play against that will. I think that's their passing attack. Like move the quarterback, roll the quarterback, and do some misdirection a little bit with play action off of it.
How do you calm your quarterback down on the move? We've talked about this, and you agreed with me when I said that this was sort of how I observed it, that when Jackson Dart's on the move, it feels full speed. And that doesn't – I mean, when you're running for your life, it's a different deal. Like if you see edge pressure and you got to get out of there and you're running trying to get rid of it, fine, that's it. But, I mean, on direct called sprint outs, and,
Right.
and maybe this is me being completely backwards with the audience here because, yes, it is called a sprint out. But very rarely do you see a quarterback sprint, all-out sprint on a sprint out because your chances of being accurate there are slim. And also, by the way, the play needs a second or two to develop. I mean, you don't need to get 2 yards outside the pocket as fast as humanly possible for those routes to get going. You got to give them a little bit of time to be able to get to their spots. But it's been too much from Jackson Arnold at times. How do you settle that down? Because, like you said, Greg, it's advantageous for him to move because he's got good wheels. But at the same time, Hugh Freeze has got to be saying to himself, like, man, you got to just like take a breath here. Like we're not trying to win a race when we call this and we want to move the pocket a little bit. How
Right.
do you find that middle ground with your quarterback?
There's just something. There's like a little nuance to playing quarterback where you just kind of you have a feel. Like some guys look like they're. It's a little bit like if you watch a guy that's trying to swing for the fences in baseball. or golf or whatever it is. Like, you know how some guys just look like they're muscling every pitch? Like Giancarlo Stanton to me, every time he swings, he looks like he's trying to muscle a pitch. You know what I mean? Like he's just trying to swing it and muscle it and just will its way out of the ballpark, which by the way, he does pretty effectively. He's just
Well,
that
he is because
strong.
that's all he can do. So
Confirmed. But you know how when he swings, it looks a little different, right? When I watch Ken Griffey swing, there's a feel. There's like he's not the biggest guy. He's got great speed, but there's just a feel with how he swings. And while the bat gets around, it doesn't look like he's trying to muscle it out. When I watch
yeah,
Jackson Arnold, he reminds me of Giancarlo Stanton. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to just muscle his way into a game. Whereas when I watch some guys with great feel for the position or great uh, great natural, just relaxed, under control, loose. Like there's a reason why his accuracy is not great. I think he's too tight. He's too tight all the time. He looks tight. He looks wound up. Whereas when I watch great, super highly elite players, whether it's college or the NFL, they never look like they're tight ever. They never look like they're. They never look like they're choking the ball. You know what I mean?
would another way to describe this be that quarterback is not necessarily an effort based position. Like a lot of playing D end, a lot of playing guard, even a lot of playing linebacker or running back, like that's effort position. Like you
Correct.
have to give full effort in order to be able to have some sort of success. That's not the case with completing a pass. Now, preparation, concentration, focus, vision, all that, yes, all of that. But physically, you can't effort things into play. Like if I'm a defensive end, I can effort my way around you on a pass rush situation. You're more
Right.
talented, you're bigger, you got longer arms, but I can effort my way back there. Same thing with a fullback. Like he can effort his way into a block. Would that be a fair way to say it? Is that like he's kind of trying to over effort things to make them happen, and that's just not what that requires a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes that he does. He gives great effort. He wants it bad, and he tries really hard, and it's very obvious. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's very well said. I mean, it's just there's something about him, his feel, his comfort level. He just looks tight. That's just the only way I can describe it. Like he
Yeah,
looks tight every time he plays the ball, and as a result, his accuracy suffers.
100%. And it's I think fans that don't know the nuances of the position can even see that a lot of times, and just when you compare that to how some of the other guys operate, like it's like Jackson Dart's a great example last night. Like he's a bit of a lumberer. He's not even really twitched up, but it never looks like he's overdoing it. Like he even when he's juking somebody or when he has to fit a throw in there, it looks more natural. And he's giving good effort. He cares. He wants it, but it just doesn't come across as too much. And I think that helps him find ways to make those plays. All right, we'll continue that conversation. We'll go to the Auburn defense. What do they have to take away? What can they take away? All next, right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll continue to dive into Auburn, Georgia. What does Jordan Rogers think about that matchup? How does he think Jackson Arnold finds success against this defense? We'll ask him in our next segment. You have to wait for that, though. One thing you never have to wait for, GMAC, is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. The urgent care officer you can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. They can get you in same day. They can also see you on Fridays and Saturdays. So go and check out Family Care Dental today by giving them a call at 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
A lot more to get to here on a Max Ball Friday. Indiana, Oregon, need to hit on that one. Red River, our final thoughts on how that one goes. Ohio State, Illinois. Can the Illini challenge the Buckeyes? More Bama, Mizzou. Obviously, more Auburn, Georgia. South Carolina, LSU, intriguing game. I'll be on the call for that one. We'll give you a preview there. Is there a threat from Washington State that Ole Miss needs to be concerned about? It's a busy college football weekend. We're going to continue breaking it all down. A couple new uniforms have been thrown out. We'll discuss a few of those. Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida A&M. How intriguing will those be? Michigan, USC is on the docket for this weekend. It's a jam-packed Friday, a Max Ball Friday, and we're going to continue it with Jordan Rogers next right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, October 10th, 8 a.m. right here on Jocks. Glad you're with us. We're going to talk more quarterbacks here. Jordan Rogers is going to join us for the next segment. We'll talk Alabama, Mizzou. which quarterback he likes more there, how the quarterbacks in Auburn, Georgia can find their way, and what he might even pretend to expect from the quarterbacks in Red River. We'll do all that in just a moment. First, Greg, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. And you can trust them in your home. Whether your whole home packed up, move your company headquarters moved across the country, or you just want to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's CrockerMovingServices.com. That's CrockerMovingServices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Jordan Rogers. You'll see him on SEC Nation tomorrow morning, live from Como, as 4-1 Alabama at 5-0 Mizzou. Jay, we were talking about this game a little bit earlier and just kind of what has to happen for both offenses. When you look at the Alabama defense, like what should the plan of attack be? How do you neutralize this Missouri run game if you're Kane Womack?
Well, you got to be able to get penetration, right? I mean, we've talked about this outside zone scheme that Missouri has, and Ahmad Hardy's so good at running it, and you can't bring him down with one guy. So that's kind of been the Achilles heel for Bama at times. They let Vandy bust off a couple huge runs early in that game last week, and so they got to be gapped down at the second and third level first and foremost, because that was part of the issue with a couple of those long runs that Vandy knocked off. But then you got to be able to penetrate at some point. You got to set a firm edge against an outside zone, funnel it back, but then you got to have your D linemen shoot gaps and create disruption, get penetration. If you just play hesitant to that outside zone, you just ride the wave with the offensive linemen as they go lateral, that's when that cutback's there. That's when Ahmad Hardy's really going to hurt you. So the defensive front's going to have a huge responsibility. But again, like I said, the second and third levels, I think, is where those explosive plays has come from, like not fitting gaps right. So structurally sound would be the key word for Alabama on defense against this really good rushing attack.
How do you feel about Mizzou's offense and their quarterback in general? Like, I mean, we know the offense, you just referenced it being sound in the run game, totally agree with all that. But how do you feel about Prabula and his ability to potentially exploit if you sell out too much against the run?
I love Prabula. I think he's awesome. I continue to look at Penn State and go, how the hell did you let this guy walk out the door, especially based on how Drew's been playing. I think he's just got something to him, right? I mean, on money downs, he's kind of at his best. Like, the ability to throw with touch and accuracy, I think, is something that jumps out with Bo. You saw that time and time again against South Carolina, against Kansas in big moments. But his athleticism is what sets him apart, right? So if you get in second and third longs when you're thinking pass, if you don't have somebody with eyes on him, if you lose contain, he's going to hurt you with his legs. But I also love Kirby Moore and his ability to move, like Kevin Coleman around, Marquise Johnson. Like, I think he does such a good job, maybe as good as anybody in the SEC, at just designing layup throws through formation, through motion, through alignment, just giving easy throws on early downs. So I think he's fantastic. I think Bo's legs are probably the X factor, as maybe Ty's are on the other side, just because he's so dynamic when he gets going.
How do you expect Missouri's defense to fare against Alabama? I brought him up earlier and said that, individually up front, they have guys that can be a problem. It might not be as consistent as some other groups. I think the secondary is a little bit gettable, but if you can't maintain a pass rush and can't keep them off Ty Simpson, that could be a problem. Do you think they have a lot of success, limited success? Is it problematic for that group? How does Missouri's defense fare in this matchup?
I think this is probably the biggest question mark, because, like, on paper, this Mizzou defense looks great. And, like, Zion Young and Damon Wilson up front are a really good pass rush duo. From a numbers perspective, one of the best in the conference. But I think this is a huge test, because I just don't know if we really know. Like, South Carolina's not good. South Carolina's not good up front. And who else have they really played that'll test you or kind of give you a barometer for how good they actually are on that side of the ball? That, to me, is the question. And then I go to, I think I alluded to, one of my favorite parts of Ty's game, and I think he's one of the best pure passers in the SEC and maybe in the country, but his mobility is so underrated. His ability to get outside the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, and make plays. There were probably 3 third downs last week against Vandy where he escaped and hit big plays out of the pocket, also picked up a first down with his legs on a third down. So if you do get pressure on him, when you watch him on film, you're like, man, this guy just hurts you from the pocket. Like, he's so good on time, ripping it downfield. And then you forget, like, he's really athletic. He's got juice, and when you get him outside the pocket, like he can make you pay. And he's also been so good against pressure. So that to me is the question mark of this entire game: is what does this Mizzou defense actually look like? Are they good enough individually, kind of like you mentioned, Cole, to slow Ty down, to get some pressure on him, to affect him? If not, I think it's going to be a long day.
How do you feel about Bama's ability to run the ball this game?
I think they can run the ball. I think Jam has been an instant boost to that room. I think the offensive line at times against Vandy, a good, actually solid defensive front, like pushed them around. So blocking-wise, I thought they played really well in that game. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball. But again, I think the most dangerous weapon for them is Ty and his ability to distribute to Bernard and to Ryan Williams if he's healthy, and Isaiah Horton and Latier Brooks. Like, they just have so much talent on the outside and speed. That's where the advantage is. So as much as I think they can run the ball, like, the advantage to me is the speed on the outside against Missouri's secondary if there is one.
All right, Jordan Rogers joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He is in Columbia, Missouri. You'll see him on SEC Nation there tomorrow morning. You'll see him with me on South Carolina at LSU on the SEC Network tomorrow night. Let's go to Auburn, Georgia. Hugh Freeze has made comments that the offense will look different, will be different, be called different. I just don't see a lot of areas. We don't know. We've tried to figure it out, and we've tried to sort of at least allude to different ways that it maybe could be. I just think it means maybe more called runs and probably more built-in quarterback runs where he doesn't have the option to throw the football. But where does this offense go? How do they find success against this Georgia defense?
I think you look at the weakness of Georgia has been giving up big plays over the top. And if there's a strength for Auburn, and I agree with you, like this offense isn't super malleable in that they can suddenly formation you and motion you to death like some offensive has the flexibility to do so. They don't really do that. So if they are changing scheme, like you said, I think it is more unique quarterback run options. That can be a weapon for Jackson. But to me, like, Cam Coleman has to be targeted 5 times downfield. And at this point, like, Auburn, what do you have to lose? This is a make-or-break game for you. Your best player is on probably one of the more glaring weaknesses for Georgia at times, is the ability to play the ball downfield. And he's been really good. Arnold has been really good targeting Coleman. He's like 4 or 6 with a couple big plays, against Oklahoma, pushing the ball downfield. Throw it to him. Like, this is a Georgia team that struggled to get pressure on the quarterback. So hopefully – I say that with a little hesitation, but hopefully Jackson Arnold has a little more time to throw the football. And if you do, throw it down the field to your best player. Like, what do you got to lose? I don't see them just moving the ball on this Georgia team with consistency, so they're going to need the big plays. To me, that's what I'd do. I'd huck it downfield to the best player on the field and see what happens. Yeah, I know that sounds simple and rudimentary, but, like, come on.
Just chuck it down there.
I mean, what can go wrong? I mean, why not? Like, take a chance. Maybe get a DPI. Like, I don't even care if he catches it. Like, just give him a chance. Like, he had 2 serious overthrows against Oklahoma. Like, you just got to give the guy a chance. I mean, if nothing else, give him a shot.
Yeah, the overthrows can't happen. Like,
no.
You can't get out of this game and have targeted him, like, 1 or 2 times downfield, and you can't have the overthrows. Like, how many times do we see that against this very defense in Georgia, Tennessee? Joey Aguilar did, like, almost won a Heisman Trophy week 2 or 3, whatever it was, by underthrowing the football. You know what I mean? Like that was the money. Like, let your guys go make a play. That's where Georgia struggled a little bit in space, playing the ball downfield. So that, to me, like, if that doesn't happen, like, I just don't think Auburn's got a chance.
I think you look at the perimeter run game too. Like, I look at last year's numbers, and I'm watching the tape. So anytime I watch the tape, I can usually, like, watch it, and then I'm like, okay, let's back it up with stats now. Do you realize that last year against Georgia, Auburn rushed it outside the tackles 14 times for 101 yards?
Jeez.
Like, that's 7 point whatever a clip.
Yeah.
Like, perimeter run game, man. Like, they did get some pullers out there. I know that doesn't marry up to their RPO stuff, but, like, get it on the edges. And I think there's a place to do that. So,
but it does.
do you think you can capture the edge against them? Like, I think they can.
And it does marry up to some of the Q run game, right? If they start changing some of that and you start reading, B-gap guys with pullers backside, and you give it to the running back front side, you're able to get an edge there, right? So I think if they are creative and if they do mix things up with some of the Q run game, that's when the gap scheme, that's when the pullers, that's when, you give to that running back and you can get an edge. because the quarterback's a threat to go downhill in the B gap or the C gap backside.
Jordan, we brought this up earlier, and Jordan Rogers with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He'll be on SEC Nation on the SEC Network tomorrow morning. When Jackson Arnold's on the move, it feels full speed, and that sounds great. But for a quarterback, it's not really how it operates. How do you slow him down a little bit? How do you calm him down a little bit? Because he's got great wheels. You want to move that pocket. You want to utilize the mobility. And I'm not talking about when he's rushing the football. I'm talking about when he has the option to throw it, and it feels forced and it feels full speed, and that doesn't always work well as a quarterback. Can Hugh Freeze help him alter that, or is that just who he is?
Can I be honest? Like, if you haven't altered that at this point, I just don't think you're gonna. Like, that's kind of what we saw at times with Oklahoma, things just moving too fast for him. Moving too fast for him at Auburn at times, and like you said, in certain situations. Like, to me, that's almost just like an inherent trait that now Hugh Freeze has got to manage a little bit better. And so shrinking the options for him at times maybe can help that out. Usually, for most quarterbacks, getting you outside the pocket clears things up, right? For a guy that, quote-unquote, seeing ghosts or things are going fast for him in between the tackles in the pocket, getting you outside the pocket usually cleans that up, gives you an opportunity for a two-way go to run it. You maybe have one or two options. So I just don't know if that's going to get fixed, right? I think you just got to manage that as much as possible because that's kind of who Jackson's been. And you just got to avoid those moments as much as possible, I guess.
Last one before we get you out of here. You guys are calling South Carolina LSU. And I am of the belief that even though they've been telling us for 4 weeks that Nussmeier is back to 100%, and he's as close now as he's been all year to 100%. Like, I feel like I've heard that 7 times. How close is he now off the bye week? I mean, he's got to be close now. I mean, I don't know how you can't be. So if he is, how much does this offense change?
If he is, that's what unlocks this offense because they have so much speed. I mean, just you look at the numbers, the miles per hour, like they got dudes that can roll with Xavier Thomas and Chris Hilton, and Aaron Anderson's a shifty guy in the slot, but they can't stretch the field because every time you see the deep ball come out of Nuss's hands, it's a lollipop. There's no way he's been healthy. But with that kind of injury, there's no way to heal it unless you stop throwing for at least a period of time. And so hopefully they did that in the bye week because I'm with you, Greg. Like, they keep telling us, yeah, he's good. Yeah, tweaked it a little bit, but he's healthy. No way. I haven't seen him throw a ball 90% all year. Like, everything looks like he's throwing it at 70%, 80%, just kind of almost like a level 2 ball, just getting it up and over. But those are times he needs to drive it. And that was his superpower last year, was off platform, just ripping the ball. So yeah, you can definitely see, and we have some analytics that ESPN's using now. You can they track the time from throw to catch and the distance and the air yards. His numbers are way down. So that tells you velocity is way down. So that tells you that he is hurt. And if he's healthy, that's what they need because they haven't been able to run the ball effectively. Caden Durham's back. That'll help a little bit. But they need to stretch the field vertically to open up the run game, to open up the perimeter quick game. The defenses are just not respecting that. They're shrinking the field on them and eating up all the grass that was there, with a healthy Garrett Nussmeier.
By the way, I saw you guys working a couple telemetry slides last week.
He's all over it.
Featuring telemetry.
He's all over
you
it.
guys are just computer nerds is what you are now. He ran 22.3. He ran 22.3 miles per hour. That's the 17th fastest.
Oh no, we're not allowed to do miles per hour anymore. We're not allowed to do miles per hour.
Well, I saw it. I was like, dang, let's go.
Tom hates miles per hour. We can't do miles per hour anymore. We're not allowed.
Why are you so down on miles per hour?
No, Jordan's fine with it. Tom's banned it from our broadcast. He said no more miles per hour.
No, but you got to have context. It was the second fastest time in the entire FBS of any position. I'd say that's pretty fast.
Absolutely.
That's not slow.
Yeah.
All right,
Cole
Jordan.
doesn't work in miles per hour. He works metric system. He wants to know kilometers per hour. That's why Tom and Cole are down on it.
I use it all the time. I love it. We were just told no, and we're not able to do it anymore. If it's not John Mateer, honestly, what do we get combined at quarterback in Red River tomorrow?
Mateer's going.
If it's
100%?
If it's not John Mateer,
he's probable.
Okay, well, that does. What if he can't hold the ball?
I don't know still how much of that
Who
is
cares?
gamesmanship, right? I hope he goes. If he doesn't go, I don't think Oklahoma wins. And I know Texas has a ton of question marks. I know that defense is really, really good. I think Michael Hawkins has really high highs but really low lows, and I think he's got the opportunity every other throw to give you one if you're the Texas defense. Now, he can make some jaw-dropping throws and plays as well because he's an athlete. He's got a ton of arm talent. I just feel like in that game, with that much pressure on him, he gives Texas a couple, and that would be the difference if Mateer's not out there.
There you go. Jordan, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on with us. Always appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening.
All right, see you, fellas.
So you're in Como, right, Jordan?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. For whatever reason, all week I was operating on the assumption that you guys were from Red River. So I was like, I don't know why I just thought that. But Como's
and
be
it's
awesome.
stormy lightning today, so look out. There's dark clouds over Como, whatever that means for you.
I was going to say, what does that mean exactly?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It means I feel bad if you're in
know.
the 3:30 window. You could get gypped. That's all I care about. It's like, do I get it
Very
open?
true.
You know, that's the
Very
ticket.
true.
Will you guys be doing the show from the arena, the basketball arena tomorrow?
We might be doing it from my hotel room at the Holiday Inn. Who knows?
Oh, let's go. Holiday Inn.
Wow.
Wow. That sounds
Okay.
nice.
Now everybody knows where Jordan's staying. Okay.
Jealous. Is that a socks on hotel?
Yes. Yeah, socks are on.
There you go. Okay.
Holiday Inn
you know,
Express
you
or
know.
just Holiday Inn?
If you know, you know. I think it's an Express. Yeah, it's an Express.
You guys still doing commercials for them?
No, they hadn't paid us in years.
Nope. It's been about a decade.
Yeah.
10 years is not that long when you really think about it. It's not that long.
Oh, thanks, Jay. We'll see you.
All right, fellas.
Later, dude.
Jordan Rogers joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, live from Como. So what is the game time weather supposed to look like for this one? Are they expecting rain for the game? I haven't
know.
seen that.
I don't know. I'm not a
AccuWeather
weather guy.
says 64 and partly cloudy.
No, we're golden. No worries.
Dreary. You don't want the extra drear when you go play at Como. I just feel like that just makes it worse.
There's only so much drear you can handle.
You can only handle so much drear when you're in the mo. That's for sure. All right. When we come back, we'll continue breaking these games down. We'll go to the Big Ten a little bit because there's a couple massive matchups there. Will Oregon be able to survive? Will Ohio State be threatened? We'll discuss that after this on Jocks. Welcome back in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, October the 10th, 8:21 a.m. So you think John Mateer's going?
I mean, if you're under probable, I'm going to say it's probable.
Probable does usually mean you play. I would agree with that. But the only thing that I look at in this one is the complications of it being his throwing hand. And, I mean, I think I told you guys this on the air like a couple weeks ago. I have arthritis in my left hand, and, like, I got an injection into that hand. And, I mean, it's as close as I've been to crying in a long time. It's not – needles in your hand are not fun. And I just imagine surgery on your hand, having to grip a football, throw a football. I just don't know what that's going to be like. And if that's a problem, obviously he's not going to be able to get it done.
I don't disagree. I do think there are some challenges when it comes to throwing the ball. Assuming his grip strength is not compromised, I think he'll be okay. You know, I think that's the issue, is that grip strength is the problem. And when I broke my hand, I tried to throw with it, and it wasn't fun because I didn't know it was broken. I mean, we got an MRI finally that revealed cracks in like the metatarsal or whatever. It was just a little splintering, and it was just cracked a little bit on the left side, and I can still feel it in my hand right now. There's like a calcified bump where it healed, but it was painful. I couldn't grip the ball. My grip strength was compromised. So that was the issue. I couldn't drive the ball. Granted, I didn't get it shot up, but I was going through the draft process, and I wanted to be able to throw. So I was trying everything I could to do it, and it just wouldn't work. So I think it's something that if they know for certain he can do it, I don't blame him for trying to rush back. Like, kid from the Dallas-Fort Worth area getting to play in the Red River rivalry, like, are you kidding me? Like, I would do whatever I could to give myself every chance to try to play in that game. So I don't blame him at all. It's just the level of effectiveness is what would concern me the most.
Well, I'm going to do this because I don't get a chance to do this very often. If you are concerned about your metatarsals throwing the football and gripping the football, that would have been a problem. Your metacarpals, maybe you would have an issue there. Tarsals in the foot.
Yes.
But I'm not a Rhodes Scholar. So
no, I like that.
I just have to – I don't get to correct you very often.
No,
so
it's
I'm
well
going to
done.
correct you today.
I'm glad you did.
It happened, people, finally.
We got it.
If I try to throw at my metatarsal, we got issues, don't we? We got real issues.
We got big problems in that one. If he doesn't go, I mean, Greg, they can't run the football, like, at all. And you saw Hawkins last week. I saw Hawkins last week. I think Jordan was being really nice, saying that he does some really good things and some really bad things. I haven't seen many of the good things. I mean, it's similar to some of the stuff that we talked about with Jackson Arnold. Like, it looks over amplified. It looks sped up on film. Like, it looks like you're watching him on fast forward, and you're like, just slow down a second. Like, set your feet, get your shoulder square, make a throw. And I think Texas has more talented players. I think Oklahoma's defense is unbelievable. And I'm interested if he didn't go, if Mateer didn't go, if Sark ramps up the tempo to try to just get those guys on the field as much as possible. Like, just try to, if it's not just east-west, go fast. Like, just try to make those guys play as much as they can to give you a chance to potentially wear them down and find a spot where you can get a play on them late in the game.
Well, here's the thing about Hawkins. I'm not saying he's ever going to carve you up right now at this stage of his development through the air. He's not. But he can hit some downfield throws on outside the numbers throws. Like, he can. He did it last year against Auburn. Go watch it. I mean, there's, I don't know, 4 or 5 throws he made last year in the 4 starts. Like, whoa, all right, big plays. You know what I mean? So, and they do have some guys that can catch and run with it. So you get some of the screen game going, short game, quick throws. Ball out, get a couple guys out front, no problem. All right, so you can manufacture some yardage, and all it does is he's got to hit 2 throws in the game if it's him. 2, that's not a lot.
No,
2 throws is a breeze. At least I'd hope it would be for a guy that's a Division I scholarship quarterback. I mean, he can hit 2 throws, and if he hits 2 throws, that could be 10 points right there. And it might not take more than 17 to win this game.
So, and that's fair. And maybe it is a little bit more run heavy with him. Maybe there are different ways that they find to get him on the edge with options to do different things. And I don't. I think one of the reasons that people look at this game and say maybe it would go Oklahoma without doing their due diligence is Texas's defensive letdowns from last week. And let's just be honest, Greg, like Oklahoma can't mimic that. They can't do what Florida did last week. They're not that kind of team up front. First off, they don't have a similar run scheme. It will be a lot more based on gap runs, blocking back, pulling around, trying to create space, things of that nature. They're not pushing a lot of people around. Florida did push Texas around last week. But Florida, I will say this, was committed to it. They stuck with it. I mean, it didn't just get going right out of the gate. And it's one of the things that I felt like Billy has not done in games that they didn't perform well this year, and that was be a little stubborn with the run. I thought he bailed on it a little bit too early in a couple of games. So where is Oklahoma with the run game here? Because I think if they stay stubborn with it, it's just going to work against them. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know where Oklahoma tries to live on offense in this game because Texas's defense is not bad. It might not be as good as we thought it was going to be, but they got guys that can make plays.
I think it's good. Like, am I crazy? Like, I think it's a good group.
No, I'm not near as down on it as some people. Last week was ugly at times. It wasn't even ugly top to bottom. But I have told you,
got hit a couple times.
They did.
Like, it happens.
And then there's a little bit of that sort of like there's a little bit of that USC syndrome that's creeping in with a couple guys every now and then. It's like we love doing the cool stuff, but like somebody's got to go in there and dig a ditch. Like somebody's got to go in there and like saw wood. Like I mean, it's chop down trees, and they don't have a ton of guys that look like they love that right now. And so that's got to change a little bit if this defense is going to be great.
Well, I don't disagree. One thing I would say about Texas's defense is they have a lot of Ferraris and they need a couple pickup trucks.
There you go.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I think Ferraris can be really problematic. Really problematic. Not in a bad way. Like, really problematic meaning those guys can take over the game. So if all of a sudden it becomes a street race, like, do I want the pickup truck or do I want the Ferrari? Give me the Ferrari. So I think it's okay as long as those Ferraris don't go too fast. When the game is requiring you to drive at 40, you don't need to be going 75. And what I mean when I say that is like Texas's athleticism can easily be used against them, and it's a little bit alarming to me. Like they flow so fast that I do think a mobile quarterback on the backside of a bootleg or something like that can be a problem. So I think sometimes they need to just put the governor on there because they occasionally play their way out of position. That happened a couple times last week, not a ton, but there's a couple times last week where that was an issue.
Yep, and we'll see if that can change at all in this matchup and how it's going to go. We will give our final picks next hour. Stanford Steve be with us at 9:20, but I said we would go into some of these Big Ten matchups. Indiana's at Oregon, both teams 5-0. There are parts of this Indiana team that I think people are either sleeping on or just don't know about. You and I briefly hinted on the offensive line a little bit earlier in the week and just how good that group has been. And it opens up everything else that they do. And they may have the most consistently accurate quarterback in college football. Just in a lot of that is knowing when to get it out, knowing where to put it, how to get it out on time. And he just does an awesome job running this offense. And I think they can offset just about everything that Oregon's going to throw at them defensively. I don't look at this Oregon defense and say, man, I don't think Indiana can handle that part of this defense. Or I don't think Indiana can deal with that part of this defense. I think that's a really even matchup. Now, on the flip side, there are some parts of the Oregon offense, that I think can be problematic for what Indiana's going to have defensively. But let's just stay with that Indiana offense. Like, how much success do you see them having against Oregon in this game?
I like Indiana in this game. Goodness gracious, I like them. Probably too much. I think Indiana can cause a lot of problems with their run game, how they marry it up. I think Oregon's very good. I think Indiana's offensive line, to me, is one of the better groups I've seen this year. You have watched them. How would you assess that offensive line against this Oregon defensive line?
like I said, I don't see them really struggling with a lot of what Oregon's going to put out there. I don't see this as, man, Oregon really anchors, or Oregon's really twitchy, or Oregon movement's going to be a problem. This is the second consecutive year that this Indiana coaching staff has done this and taken an almost entirely new cast of characters, and the continuity has been outstanding. That is rare in today's college football. We don't get that very much. Now you have guys who play good ball, or guys who can get after it, or guys who try hard, but the feel of what you're collectively trying to do, and it's one of the things you and I have talked about, Greg, that just is not very omnipresent in today's college football. And I was in this town a couple of weeks ago talking to Brian Kelly about it. Like, why are we not coaching? Just the understanding of all of it, the understanding of situationally where we are on the field, what our formation is, what personnel we have in, like what the whole play is trying to accomplish. And he was like, you don't have time to do that anymore. And he goes, and also these kids don't watch football the way that they used to. So they don't see it in action very much until we get out there and coach it. He's like, we got kids that we start talking about, running into the boundary or how something's going to be handled this way. And like, they've never had that conversation before. They've never heard that conversation before. So it's really impressive what Cignetti's done and his offensive staff has done, because you don't see a lot of guys turn loose. You don't see a lot of busts. You have a good understanding, it feels like, of collectively what the offense wants to do. As you said, everything being married up, like one thing leads to another. It never feels like they're out there just calling plays, ever. Like everything that you watch Indiana do, you say, oh man, wait till they come back to this. Or wow, they're setting them up for that right there. Like, and they're going to be able to get to that here in a little bit. And there's a lot of teams, Greg, that I watch and I can easily say the opposite about. Like, what did that have to do with that? Or like, why do we go with that here when you've been having success with this? And you easily could have just done the opposite of that, whatever it is. So I'm with you. I don't think the Oregon defense is going to be a huge problem. Now, do I think playing on the road could be a little bit dicey, a little bit tricky? Yeah, that's always tough. You always wonder how that's going to go. But I'm with you in probably liking Indiana. I don't know if I like them as much as you do, but feeling like I like them maybe a little bit more than I should. But Indiana works the combos extremely well. They get to the second level well. They know how to hold their water in the RPO game. They're not sprinting downfield, so they're going to avoid flags that way. And they make you defend a lot. And that's maybe the biggest problem, is just they make you defend a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I think they have guys that can win matchups on the outside. I do. I think they have guys that can really win. So if they can get the run game going, all of a sudden you got one-on-one ISOs on the outside. Now we got issues if you are the Oregon Ducks. Now, getting the run game going is the first and foremost the number one key. If they can run the ball, they're in a good spot. The other side of it, I look at Oregon's offensive line, and I love their personnel. I think they're very talented, very athletic. They do a great job with the screen game. I think the screen game for them will be huge. Because of how aggressive Indiana plays, Oregon's screen game has to go for them. I think that might be the most important part of what they do offensively, is how do they dial up the screen game? Because how do you fire your gun as a defender when you're always on every single snap concerned about a screen gashing you? I don't know how you do it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So the screen game, I think, is paramount for Oregon. If they can somehow figure out a way to keep the aggressiveness, Indiana that is, if they can somehow figure out a way to keep the aggressiveness while not getting got on the screen game, I like their chances. But I do think that's a big challenge. So that's one thing that would have me leave it close. So I think Indiana can score on them. I think it's going to be a track meet. I think it's going to be a super high-scoring game. And I think Indiana will score with them for sure.
You might be running your AC during the day and the heat at night. That stress on your home comfort system is why you need a Train. They've been named America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. So you know you can count on the reliability of a Train to keep your home and family comfortable for years to come. Find out more at Train.com. It's hard to stop a Train. You know who I love in this Indiana offense that I haven't heard anybody talk about is 37. The little tight end H-back guy they got. Is it Nowakowski is his name?
Hang on, I don't know his name.
Riley Nowakowski, I believe is his name. He does the opposite of what we were just talking about with the Texas defense. Like ultimate, just.
Is he from Croatia? Are you guys boys?
No, the SKI is not of Croatian descent. No,
Is that
that's
Polish?
not. It's not going to be
I don't know. I have no idea.
Russian, maybe. I'm not sure where.
I don't know. All right, let me
Transferred
look.
from Marquette, though. I didn't even know Marquette played football.
He played hoops. Why not?
Okay.
No, I don't know that. I have no.
I was going to say 6'1", 250. I'm going to see what position he's playing. Like if
Point
he's
guard.
running the point at 6'1", 250, hell yeah, sign that guy up. We'll take him
Heck
right
yeah.
now.
All right,
He's tough though,
37.
man. Like
Yeah,
he's tough, dude. Just tough, man. I love him. They put him out there on screens. They put him in line. Like they wham him a little bit. Like he's super valuable to what they do.
Oh my gosh! I just pulled up his telemetry stuff, and I'm looking at the like where he is on the ball. He has one play in which he goes 6 yards downfield. Everything else is inside of 5 yards. He has so far this year he has 5 targets. 2 of those came against Old Dominion in the first game.
He didn't care.
No, ain't about that life.
No.
But this guy's a hammer a little bit. I haven't
They
watched him a ton, but I love their backs. I think their backs run super hard. I think their offensive line can get after you. I just think Indiana's a really good football team.
Yep. And they epitomize that team. So we'll pick that game. We'll pick these Big Ten games when we come back next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 8:41, Friday, October 10th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Number 7, Indiana at number 3, Oregon. We just previewed that game a few moments ago. We'll get to our picks now. G-Mac, which direction you heading? 2:30 CBS. Final pick from Autzen. Who ends up getting the win?
I think Oregon gets it, but I think Indiana keeps it close.
Okay. Too much of what for Oregon that prevents Indiana from winning this game? Throws downfield?
Yeah, I just think Oregon, their offensive line will hold up, I think. I think the screen game is going to really calm Indiana down. I don't know how aggressive Indiana can get because of that screen game, so that's probably why. I have a hard time envisioning a scenario in which Indiana wins the game without causing some havoc. Havoc with protection, havoc with the run game, lost yardage behind the sticks, all that stuff. That's how they're going to get them, and I think it's going to calm them down some if you aren't able to call blitzes and move and do all that other stuff.
I'm going to go the opposite direction here. I think Indiana pulls the upset.
Wow. Love it.
I don't think Dante Moore has been in too many scenarios like this. I do agree with you that the quick game, specifically on the perimeter, are going to be challenging for Indiana's defense. But if you go in understanding that that's probably going to be what's most problematic for you, I think you can offset it. I think they will. I think offensively they can control sort of the tempo of this game. They can control the feel of this game. And that's going to be mainly due to, not like you said, the offensive line in the backs, but accuracy from the quarterback. Because I think they're going to make Dan Lanning make a decision of how they're going to play the box. And if they don't load up against the run, I think they, like you said, they can run the football. So they're going to have to play extra defenders near the line of scrimmage, and that'll open some things up for Mendoza to be able to get it done through the air. Competitive game, good game. I'm going Indiana, though. I have a feel that I hate to say that this has kind of been coming for Oregon, that they've been playing with fire a little bit, but they're just there's a portion of what they've been living and dying on at times offensively that I don't know is sustainable every week, every game. Yeah. And I think Indiana finds a way to neutralize that. I think they want to try to take away a couple possessions. And unless Oregon goes out there and says, hey, we're going to overcommit to the run and make you throw the football, which I still think they can kind of control that tempo through the air that way. Yeah. And I think Indiana makes it their style fight. And I think they find a way to get the win. So I'll go Indiana in this one.
I'm good with it. I don't hate it at all. Like we just said from the outset, like I feel really good. I really do. I feel really good about Indiana in this game. To expect them to go and travel to the West Coast and get the outright win on the road, golly, it'd say an awful lot about them, wouldn't it?
So 100%.
I mean, I think if this game were played in Indiana, lock, stock, and barrel, I'm taking the Hoosiers. But I just have a hard time going against the Ducks at home.
They're 7-0.
I'm going against most teams at home.
Yeah, I mean, listen, historically, this doesn't go that way.
Right.
Oregon's 7-0 in AP top 10 matchups at home. That's the most wins without a loss in the AP poll era. Indiana 0-4 in AP top 10 matchups all time, regardless of site. They were 0-2 last year in those games. So maybe you learn from those a little bit. You find different ways to sort of be able to overcome some of those obstacles that prevented that from happening in the past. But Dante Moore's got to be big for Oregon. I think Indiana knows that. I think they try to do their best to prevent what he can do down the field, and I think Indiana gets the win. So we'll stay in the Big Ten for a moment as we begin picking games here on a Max Ball Friday. Ohio State is at Illinois. Before we get into that one, tell our listeners about Canty.
Well, Canty can fix it. They're the foundation specialists in the area that we trust the most, and they are the experts when it comes to foundation repair, crawl space, basement, concrete solutions. Here in Alabama, there are a ton of factors that can lead to foundation problems in your home. It's the soil shifting, uneven ground, moisture, weather, even the age of your home. So if you're noticing cracks in the walls and floors, cracks around the windows and doors, maybe some uneven or sagging floors, feels like the house is kind of sloping, then you need to call our friends at Canty. They're foundation specialists that offer free inspections and estimates so homeowners know exactly what's going on under their house, and their work is backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. So call them today at 205-509-3991, or you can go online to Canty, CANTEY, canfixit.com. That's canfixit.com.
All right, a couple of probably, I'm going to say, underrated quarterback performances this year going at it with this Illinois and Ohio State game. I know that sounds wild saying Ohio State, but I just don't think Julian Sayin is getting a lot of credit. He's having a great year. They haven't asked him to do a ton just yet, and that's fine. He hasn't needed to. But I think he's operating the offense well. Luke Altmaier's been really good for Illinois this season. By the way, he is gunning for his third consecutive 300-yard passing game. He would be the first Illinois quarterback to have 3 consecutive 300-yard passing games since
Juice Williams.
That's a great guess, by the way. It's not the correct answer.
Jeff George.
That's probably the only other guess many people would even get out. It would be since Jason Verduzco in 1991.
Hey.
The program record is 5 straight by old Dave Wilson in 1980.
Big Dave?
See, and you said we didn't throw the ball in the 80s and 90s. And look at that, Verduzco and Wilson out there just slinging it for the Illini.
Without knowing anything about what those guys look like, what do you want to bet they're 6'5", 240, 6'6", 6'5", 240 with an absolute howitzer? Not even knowing anything about what these guys look like, I'm just going to go under that assumption.
Mullet and or mustache for either or both.
Steve Verduzco. Is it Verduzi?
Verdu, yeah, ZCO. Oh, they've got him at 5'9".
No, I got him at 6'2".
No, quarterback right here. He played in the CFL. I got him 5'9". Played at Illinois.
I have him as a baseball player.
Yeah, you got the wrong Verduzco.
Player. This is Steve Verduzco, 5'9", 160. He's 23 years old. That's not the right guy. You need to tighten.
How great is this? Jason Verduzco, involved in an altercation with police on October 2nd, 2005 before the Chiefs game against the Eagles. He was maced by police after becoming combative due to not being allowed to turn into a stadium entrance that he normally used. You don't step to Jason Verduzco now.
Oh, Jason. I wrote in Steve Verduzco.
No, yeah. Jason Verduzco. How do you not know this guy?
I mean, I don't know.
He's one of the all-time Illini greats.
He's a
Who doesn't know Verduzco?
Yes. All right, here we go. I got a highlight
5'9", scrappy.
On Facebook. Dang it. Oh, they're running.
Not
getting
to that one
for sure. It's Veer. Oh, straight drop back flutie style. Oh no. Yeah, he's a runner. If you watch this guy, he's a runner.
Yeah, here you go. Your boy Dave Wilson knows. Yeah, 6'3", 216.
I'll take the over.
That's exactly what you were referencing there. His career NFL stats: 36 touchdowns to 55 picks.
Picks are not that big a deal,
especially in the NFL. Not exactly what we were looking for there. So
no.
He had a reputation for a strong arm and a quick release when he received a scholarship to Illinois. He had many issues with his NCAA eligibility due to some issues with his transcripts. Holy mother! On November 8th in 1980, he threw for 621 against Ohio State. How much do you want to bet that was one route?
What route was it?
Go ball. They had a mismatch. Baby. Somebody had a mismatch on the outside. And Ohio State's D coordinator was the most stubborn human in college football that year. And he said,
we got to cover him.
We ain't putting a safety over there.
We're still stopping to run. Coach, they've run for 8 yards. They're throwing for 6 bills. we still got to stop the run, boys. Hey, load them up. Put them in the box.
Tell Caleb he needs to get out there and cover better.
I'm telling you guys, they can't run it on us. Let them throw it. Throwing it's a weakness. That's fine. If they want to be weak and win, that's fine. We're still going to be tough and lose, and we're going to stop the run.
I'll tell you this. He didn't do school. Once again, eligibility issues forced Wilson to declare himself eligible for the supplemental draft on July 7th. The Saints under new head coach Bum Phillips took him in the first pick is their apparent their apparent backup to longtime starter Archie Manning.
What? Look at this. 6 degrees of Archie Manning.
The things that you guys learn here on the show
Yes.
are also the same things we learn here on the show because we didn't know these
Correct.
things either. So, yeah.
Yep.
All right, we'll pick this one. I don't feel like it's going to be very difficult to decide which direction we're going next right here on Jocks. All right, so I found it, or at least some information on it. Art Schlichter was the quarterback for Ohio State that year. This is 1980. We're trying to find information on Dave Wilson. Ohio State got out to a 28-0 lead with just over a minute left in the first half. And then Dave Wilson went to work. They would come back, cut the lead to 35-14. Then they would cut the lead to 35-21 after a fumble. Apparently, according to 11 Warriors article, Ohio State was playing prevent, and that's why Dave Wilson was able to march the ball up and down the field. He would throw an interception in the end zone on their final drive, attempting to take the lead. But Dave Wilson, Greg, finished 43 of 69 for an NCAA record 621 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, on that 621 passing yards, the Illini had 659 total yards.
Yeah.
However, they did turn the ball over 7 times.
Yeah, but it's really like the turnover margin is such an overrated indicator of whether or not you succeed.
By the way, if he had 621 passing yards and 69 attempts and they turned over 7 times, how many times did they have the ball?
Yeah, a lot of possessions. Possessions not at a premium. That is ridiculous.
I want to go watch that game.
I'm about to say, can we find the tape? They got it on telemetry.
Wilson finished the season with 245 completions on 463 attempts, 3,154 yards, 19 touchdowns. He was 8 years in the NFL.
That's a long time.
6,987 passing yards, 36 touchdowns and 55 picks. Guess who was the next quarterback to break his NCAA record?
No idea. Oh, well, it would. No, because that
It
would
was
have been
it was
after
before
Andre
it was
Ware.
before no it was before all the Houston guys.
Oh, so
Scott
Andre
Mitchell
Ware.
of Utah.
Oh, really?
Yep. Old
Boom.
Dan Marino back up. Back with more next on Jocks.